And I say, welcome. Thank you for being here for our midweek pick-me-up. Today we are going to look at where is God and what does this mean to me? And I'm going to start with one of my favorite readings by Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of our denomination. And it is the beginning of chapter 3 of a book that is entitled This Thing Called Life, and it's also been printed under The Art of Life. But this is what I want to share with you. Holmes said life goes on, but are we making the most of this thing called life? We can imagine a fish being told he is surrounded by water, but not quite realizing what this means. We can imagine such a fish swimming north, south, east, and west in search of water. If we think of the fish as a person, we can imagine him looking up books of fish lore, studying fish psychology and philosophy, always endeavoring to discover just where the waters of life are and how to approach them. Perhaps some wise old fish might say, it has come down to us through tradition that in ancient times our ancestors knew about a wonderful ocean of life. They prophesied a day when all shall live in the water of life happily forever. And can't you just imagine all the other fish gathering together, rolling their eyes and wiggling their tails, looking wise and mysterious and beginning to chant, "Oh, water, 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 we beseech you to reveal yourself to us. We beseech you to flow around and through us, even as you did in the days of our revered ancestors." As a matter of fact, we are in the water of infinite life, as the fish is in the ocean. The spirit of life is all around us. It flows through us. It permeates everything. It is the essence of all form and flows through every condition. And yet, we are still looking for it. What we are looking for unwittingly looks at. What we look for, we unwittingly look at, but fail to recognize it. In Eric Butterworth's book, in Eric Butterworth's book, Spiritual Economics, he talks about substance. And substance is what Holmes is talking about in what I just read you about life and floating and swimming around in this ocean of life or ocean of substance. Butterworth says in chapter 1, The Truth About Substance, can you, having your being in the ocean of God's substance, ever like for a sufficiency of creativity or ideas or money or opportunity in any time of need? The important thing to hold to the awareness is that you are created in substance, formed from substance, and ceaselessly supported by substance. To paraphrase Emerson, the free flow of substance in your own life is the conditions of the divine effort that made you in the first place. So what Holmes and Butterworth are both saying to us is that around us and through us at all times is the infinite, absolute stuff of God. When I pray, I always say God is all there is. God is all there is. As this fish is surrounded by the ocean, we are surrounded by God. And not only are we surrounded by God, but as Butterworth says, we are the substance of God. We are little droplets of God's stuff, created We have been created from this God stuff. Every cell of our body is this God stuff. We are part of God, but God is so much more. As the fish swims in the ocean, the fish is part of the ocean, but the ocean is very, very vast. And the fish is just this tiny little being, even if it's a whale in comparison to the ocean. So we are a droplet of God's stuff. So what does this mean to us? As we get into different situations in our lives, it is up to us to remember that God is all there is, and that we are expressing absolutely perfectly as who we are, because we are God expressing. And in order to feel this oneness, to feel this experience that is God, it is up to us to remember that we come from God, that we are that essence expressing absolutely perfectly. And if we don't feel it, or if we somehow feel that we are in lack or in judgment or something like that, it is because we have set up some kind of barrier between us and God. We are blocking that substance. It's not that God turns God's back on us. It's that we are blocking that flow. In Prosperity Plus 3, there's a statement made, and I meant to look it up and I didn't, that when we take one step towards God, God takes many steps towards us. It is impossible for God to do anything but love us. It is impossible for God to do anything but support us, because that's what God is. God is love. God is support. God is peace. God is guidance. And we have to remember that everywhere we are, anything we touch, anything we see, anything we feel is God expressing absolutely perfectly. Butterworth says, the exciting thing about omnipresent substance is that it is so abundant that no one ever has less in order that you may have more. It's like air. When we breathe air, if we were all in the same room and we were sitting there, each one of us breathing, none of us would be concerned that somebody else was going to breathe all the air and we weren't going to be able to we weren't going to be able to breathe. We know that air is abundant and that it's always there. And we need to think about God in the same way, that abundance of the universe, that God stuff is there for all of us. And as one of us uses it, it doesn't mean that another one of us can't use it, because it is infinite and it is omnipresent. It's always there for us. Butterworth always says there's always enough with plenty to spare, because all the substance is present in its entirety at every point. Again, it's all God, it's all there. He also says, remember, you don't have to get more substance, for all the substance of the universe is present right where you are. We just have to remember to use it. We just have to remember that we are present in this substance. And so when we are looking to experience something or manifest something, we're not going to whatever it is that we're looking at. We're allowing ourselves to be part of whatever brings it to us and to allow it to happen. And I don't mean that we just sit there on our sofa watching the TV. I mean, we do the things that open that awareness, that allow us to be that divine receptivity, to really, really experience who we are as divine creatures. We don't ask, what do I want? We ask, but what wants me? What wants me to do whatever it is that I am to do? And then we open ourselves up to allow it to come to us. And we don't, and we do the steps that we're guided to take. If we're looking for a job, we put out resumes. If we're wanting to find that perfect partner, we go places where that perfect partner would be. And even more than that, we become that perfect partner. We look at the qualities we want in a partner and we become those qualities. And we are just open to allow it all to be who we are. And then we always remember to be grateful. We always remember to truly come from a space of gratitude. No matter what's going on in our life, we practice gratitude. We practice being willing to really open ourselves up to gratitude. Oh, where's Plato's Law? Plato's Law says, when you feel grateful, you become great, and you eventually attract great things. So when we realize that we're in this divine substance, we open ourselves up to receiving. We open ourselves up to being great and to receiving greatness by being grateful. There's a story about a scientist many years ago who was studying tribes in Africa. And all the tribes in the area except one were very prosperous. And this one tribe was not at all prosperous. And the only thing the scientists could find different between the tribes was the one that was not prosperous did not have a word for gratitude and grateful in their vocabulary. Somehow they had negated grateful and gratitude from their belief system and their speaking system. That was the only difference he could find in the tribes. Now, he couldn't necessarily say that was absolutely why that tribe was not abundant, but there's a good chance that that was it. So we're going to do a little exercise right now. And what I want you to do is just take a look around the space you're in. If you can see outside, sometimes I find it easier to see God in nature than I do in other things, but God is in everything. God is really in the bookcase behind me because God inspired every one of the books that's there. And the computer in front of me. This computer was an idea in the mind of God before Apple was even beginning to be thought of. So look around you and just take a moment to see God expressing through your environment, through the people you see on the screen, through your families. Just all the ways that God shows up in the bright blades of grass, the trees, the birds, even the snow, the rain. Even some of the things that you don't consider positive in your life, God is still part of it. God is part of everything. And I know as I recognize God and all the things around me, I begin to feel absolute gratitude through every fiber of my being. And now I want you to take a moment to feel gratitude, to feel grateful, and to just bless some of the things, some of the experiences in your life from this place of gratitude. And I suggest that you take a moment each day, or several moments each day, maybe even several times a day, to acknowledge the presence of God all around you and through you, and to allow that gratitude to build and fill your very being, and to express that gratitude in any way you can. God doesn't need your gratitude, but you need to express that gratitude to open yourself to the greatness of who you are and the greatness of what you have come here to be. Thank you.